I'm in the enviable position to be the last one before everybody goes home. So I promise you I won't keep you long, and I'll keep it brief. I want to start out by thanking Dean Emmons for her constant support, constant guidance. She wasn't the dean when I was in law school here, but she certainly feels like my dean, and I always call her my dean. So I thank her for keeping me involved and looking out for me, even when I may not know she's looking out for me. I want to thank BLSA. I want to thank Ebony, Roderick, BLSA's executive board for the opportunity to be here, for thinking of me, because I certainly don't think of myself as a trailblazer. And as was said earlier, I think I'm more or less taking from the cup, and I need to do more adding to the cup. And so I thank you for thinking of me in this way, because I've never thought of myself as a trailblazer, and I hope to one day meet that standard. I want to thank and congratulate our fellow honorees, because it's an illustrious group, and I'm honored to be standing here with you, a part of the 2012 class. I want to thank my wife, Kimberly, who has been with me from the beginning of law school. We got engaged when I was a first year in law school. We got married a week after I took the bar exam. So my legal life and my marital life have kind of tracked each other. And I love her for supporting me, because the law is a jealous mistress, and I'm sure you've heard that. And sometimes there's been a lot of jealousy in my house, let me tell you, when it comes to the law. But she's been great, and she's been supportive. And I want to thank my daughter, Sydney, who's been quiet tonight. Who's been pretty good. And who's probably written on every program on that table. So I hope you got some extras.
That's all right.
But it worked. It's very tough to follow Monte's speech, because I've known Monte for a long time, and I know how great of a speaker he is. So I'm not going to try to compete with him, but I'll try to meet the standard that he suggests that we all follow. And my comments are really simple. As Roderick mentioned, I was the president of BLSA, so one of my favorite moments, favorite times about my experience here at Widener was to become the president of BLSA, because I felt there was a certain level of significance with that. Because there's so many people that came before us, and came before me at Widener, particularly through BLSA, that it was I almost felt duty-bound to be a part of it, and to maybe someday lead it, and to maybe someday do as well as they did when they were in BLSA, and when they were the president, or the vice president, or the treasurer, etc. of BLSA. Being a part of BLSA really taught me a lot here, because it exposed me to the entire wider community, as Damien mentioned. And it's not about the individual self. It's about being a part of something greater than yourselves. And so if I was to leave you with some advice or something I think would be helpful, or some sort of nugget, what I'll say is that BLSA really taught me that the profession, the entire profession, belongs to me. Because when I got to law school, I didn't have a lot of friends that were attorneys. Particularly, I didn't have a lot of African-American friends that were attorneys. And so I was a little bit nervous when I got here. And I was scared about the opportunity. And I was questioning whether I could succeed. But becoming a part of BLSA, which allowed me to become more engaged with the wider community, really showed me that this whole legal profession belonged to me. And the way I'll illustrate that is with a story about my own career. And hopefully it drives the point home. Excuse me. The only job I've ever had is at Cozen O'Connor. I started out as a summer associate, my 2L year. And I remember I was as nervous my first day there as I was my first day of law school. And if you all can remember your first day of law school, you know how that feels. You know, you feel a little bit of indecision, a little bit of worry, a little bit of concern. And so I had a little bit of a moment before I started at the firm as a 2L in that summer program. And I remember I was a little nervous because I thought, wow, you know, Widener, am I good enough? Am I learning this? Am I doing the right thing? Have I studied enough? Have I worked hard enough? And I remember the first day I was at the firm. and we would have to go around the room like most orientations are. And you got to tell everybody your name, and where you're from, and where you go to law school. And I'm the last person to go. And they're going around the room. And one person says, I go to Harvard. And this other person says, I go to Georgetown. And this other person says, I go to Penn. And they keep going around the room. And it was a moment, it just, I don't know what it was, it just hit me before they got to me. And I started to smile. Because I said, you know what, I go to Widener. And I'm sitting here with all of you. And I'm not only just as good as all of you, but I know I'm better than all of you. And so I'm the first one of that class to make partner at my firm. I'm the first one of that class to chair a committee at my firm. And so I'm proud of that, because it wasn't me that did it. It was Widener that did that. And so I'm telling all of the students here, remember that story. Remember your moment. Remember your Widener moment where somebody's going to count you out, where you're going to be in court, and somebody's going to find out, because they, lawyers study up on each other when they got to go against you. And you're going to have to go to court one day, and they're going to say, oh, that person goes to Widener. They're going to count. They're going to think less of you. And you're going to kick their behind, and you're going to smile when they shake your hand and say, congratulations. Or when that student who finds out you go to Widener, and they're dismissive, and then they come for an interview at your firm and they see it's you. And you say, oh, so you don't feel so bad about Widener anymore, do you? Remember, Widener's a great school. You go to a great school. You're getting a great education. If you belong to Widener, and the legal profession belongs to you. Thank you very much.